The Haunted School Ghost. Japanese ogre face screaming in fear. Episode 4. At that moment, I hadn't seen anyone enter, nor had anyone actually come in. But then, suddenly, someone grabbed me from behind and pulled me back. A scream escaped my lips. When I turned around, what I saw froze me in place. After narrating this, the girl suddenly fell silent. The teachers urged her to continue. After a brief pause, she spoke again, her voice trembling. Behind me. There was something strange. It was neither a human nor an animal, something eerie and unnatural. It was a shadowy figure stretching from the ground to the ceiling. It had no feet, just two enormous hands. And instead of a face, it had two terrifying eyes from which blood was dripping. Seeing it, she had been paralyzed with fear. After that, she remembered nothing until she regained consciousness among the teachers. As soon as she finished speaking, she began trembling and crying again. Then, her gaze fixated on something. She was staring angrily at the clock hanging on the wall. And then, she fainted once more. The school staff quickly arranged for her and my injured friend to be taken home. A doctor was called to examine them. While my friend received medicine for his injuries, the doctor couldn't make sense of the girl's condition. He took his fee and left without any explanation. Later, my friend shared more details. I recovered after 2 months of treatment, but the girl took much longer to heal. That was the terrifying truth about those washrooms, he told me. Now, let me tell you my own experience. I sat back in my chair, lost in thought. A stand fan was running at full speed. And there was no natural wind, only the fan's breeze. But then, something strange started happening. The airflow from the fan seemed to be blocked. The wind simply wouldn't reach me. It was as if something was obstructing it. Feeling uneasy, I stood up and moved closer to the fan, thinking maybe it had a technical fault. But no, it was working perfectly fine. Then why wasn't the air reaching me? This baffled me. I turned the fan off and then switched it on again. This time, I felt a small gust of air, as if something had momentarily moved aside. That's when it hit me, this only happens when someone is standing in front of a fan and then moves away. But I was alone. A chill ran down my spine. Was something invisible standing in front of me? I tested it again. When I stood in front of the fan, the airflow stopped. But the moment I stepped aside, the wind moved freely, rustling the leaves of the plants behind me. Fear crept into me. What was happening? Luckily, after a while, the eerie silence returned, and by then, my shift was only 10 minutes away from ending. I went inside to wake the next guy up. After waking him, I returned to my chair. The atmosphere had become calm again. But my mind was still stuck on the strange event that had just occurred. I decided not to tell the next guy about it. I didn't want him to panic. I went to my room, lay down, and before I knew it, I drifted off to sleep. The next morning was normal. I felt normal too. For a brief moment, I considered telling my friends about what had happened. But then I held back. The day passed as usual. But as evening approached, a familiar uneasiness settled over me again. It was around 6:03 p.m. when I went to the washroom. And then, to be continued.